guys, welcome back to my channel. As I said in the last video, this one's gonna be about goal setting, and I know you're gonna be like, Dee, it's already the new year. And yes, I am aware of that. However, this is kind of just to say that you don't have to set your goals at the very beginning of the year, or even before then, like the procrastinators and people who weren't sure what they wanna do. This is for you all. And it's also for the people who set goals that they're not necessarily going to achieve, and maybe they need to be able to go back and revise them a little bit. That's perfectly fine too. And it's also fine that I actually just didn't film this before the new year, but that's not important. And we're just gonna move on from there. Okay, so by this point, some of you have already probably set some of your goals. And that's fine, maybe this video isn't for you, but also maybe going through this will help you plan out how to do those goals more efficiently, and also what steps you actually want to take to be able to achieve those goals. Now, two of my goals that I'm going to talk about in this video are actually to get 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, one, and then my second one is to focus more on my physical and mental health. Now, we're gonna break those down into the why and how, and then just some other steps that we can use to actually achieve those goals. So my first step / tip when it comes to setting goals is making sure it's actually something that you want to do. This is important in coming up with your why. Your why is going to motivate you to actually achieve your goal and to get up that extra hour, or to put in that extra hour after work, or to go out and run or make it to the gym, or whatever it is. And it's just basically the motivation behind your goal. Because if you just have that goal of, I want to eat less, it's like, but why? Because food is good. Just wanting to eat less, you need to have a why as to why, pretty much. And so my why for my first goal, getting 2,000 subscribers, is actually because I want to be able to reach as many people as possible with my platform, because otherwise I'm just kind of talking to a camera and effectively myself, which doesn't really make that much sense. Not really. And then for focusing on my physical and mental health is just because in order to be able to do all the things that I want to do, I need to be able to physically do them and be in the mental state to be able to do that as well. And it's just because I have like days or weeks where I just don't feel like doing anything because I feel awful. And one of those reasons is because I'm anemic, and we're gonna get into some of the steps that I'll take specifically for that part of the goal next. So the second tip / step is to actually be reasonable. What is a goal that you're actually going to be able to achieve? Now, this is not to say to set your standards lower. However, this is going to help you with your how of what you're going to do step by step to actually achieve the goal that you're putting in place. Makes sense, right? So, like I said, with being reasonable, it's not to set your standards lower. It's just to actually help you figure out how you're going to do it. And this is because you don't want to set your goals too low to where you're not going to feel like you're actually doing anything. However, you don't want to set too many goals or such big goals that you get overwhelmed. And even if you have huge, enormous goals, going through this and setting the hows of what steps you need to take to be able to achieve that will break it down and make it feel a lot more manageable. Now, let's go to my first example. So my first example for my goal was getting the subscriber count up, right? And so some of the ways you can do that is to post more frequently. Who would have thought of that? Clearly not me. And just to get better at editing so that I can edit faster, and also to film and edit in batches so that I have stuff pre-prepared. Now, on my other goal, some of the things that I need to do is make sure that I'm eating enough things with iron in them, making sure that I'm also eating things that help me to absorb iron so that when I take my iron tablets, they're actually doing something instead of just going straight through my system. And another thing is to actually go talk to a doctor and a specialist about the condition, because it's kind of hard to know what you need to do for your specific body if you don't know anything about the condition. And so I've actually gone ahead and started setting up appointments for that for next week, actually. The third the third step for goal planning is to actually hold yourself accountable. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can do this. One way that a lot of people talk about is actually telling other people about your goals. Now, this is helpful because when you tell your loved ones or even random people on Facebook what your goals are, then when they see you slacking, they're more likely to be to get up in your face and be like, what you doing? Why are you doing that? It's not part of your goal. And it just helps you be more accountable for yourself when you know that someone's looking at you and you want to make sure that you don't disappoint them either. Now, that may or may not work for you. So another way to hold yourself accountable is actually to make sure that your goals are visible. Some people do this in the form of a vision board. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word, of a vision board. And that's really cool because it's just like something that you can put up in your room or your office or whatever, and it just facilitates like your goal setting and your mindfulness of actually being effective while you're doing whatever work you need to do. And it also just looks pretty if you do it right. So do it right. But it's fine. It doesn't, your vision board doesn't have to be gorgeous, but it helps. It does help. Another thing that I personally do is actually put my goals in my planner. So here's the spread that I was talking about with all of my goals on it. As you can see, I've laid out each step that I need to do in order to achieve said goal. Now, one thing that I did forget to mention was the fact that you should try and be as specific as possible with your goals when coming up with them. Now, all of mine do not have specific dates, but if you look at, say, my GRE prep, I decided that I wanted to try and start that in March so that I can take the test in June or May. Now, on this next page, you can also see that I laid out an entire spread of how I want to be able to keep up with my YouTube statistics and just be able to make sure that I am achieving those goals that I want to. And then on another page, I also have how many books I've read and just a place to write down suggestions, as I also want to be able to read a minimum of 24 books this year. The fourth step is to actually review this multiple times a year. Now, I kind of talked about this like in my intro where I was talking about you don't have to necessarily do this only once a year. And a lot of people do this either quarterly or every trimester, just going over and reviewing their goals. Since I'm still in college, I actually do it at the beginning and ends of each semester. So it's still 4 times a year, but it's not necessarily aligned with like the quarterly system month. What am I trying to say? Whatever. It's not necessarily aligned with like the actual calendar quarters, if that makes any sense. However, this helps me figure out things that I could have done better, or things that I want to transfer over for the next semester, or even things that I need to work on. It also helps me see things that I no longer want to do, because you don't want to be stuck in a goal that you no longer want to achieve because your plans have changed or your life has changed, and that's perfectly fine. It's all a part of life. However, some people will end up making themselves feel bad for not achieving a goal or letting it go, and that's not the point. The point of the goal is to help yourself get better and to also make yourself feel better. And so you don't want to stress yourself out about not achieving certain goals, which leads me to the last step, which is don't be so hard on yourself. Like, it's okay if you don't complete every single goal on your list, and it's okay if your plans change and your goals change with them. That makes sense, and it's just part of life. And it's also important to realize this, because if you go at the end of the year or the semester or whenever you're checking your goals and you've completed every single one, it probably means that you didn't challenge yourself. And that's why it's important when you're looking at that second step of be reasonable but not necessarily pessimistic, is so that you have achievable goals, but you'll have to work and stretch yourself for them, and there will be pain and things that don't get completed, and you might get burned out sometimes, and that's okay. You just have to know that these plans and your goals are to make yourself and your life better, and so that you feel better about yourself. And there's completely counterintuitive and defeating the point if you get super stressed out about them. So guys, I hope that this was helpful and that you enjoyed it and that you're ready to start planning for the next semester with me, because that's what we're doing in the next video. And I'll see you guys then. Bye!